Okay, so you lot, we finally got confirmation that the global version of Rememento White Shadow is coming up on the 28th of May. This was confirmed by the developers in the latest update note that just released today, and yeah, in light of that, I'm gonna be making a beginner's guide about this game. Essentially everything that I've learned throughout playing it since day one, and I'll be guiding you through all various aspects of the game that are the most important for you to know. So, let's go. And for reference, I will be leaving timestamps for all of the basically throughout the whole video for various aspects of the game. So if you only want to know a certain thing, such as maybe like how dailies look like, how the gacha looks like, you will be able to find them in the video as well as in the description, right? So first up, let's talk about characters. This will be by far the most extensive topic, right? And okay, well, I didn't expect to get flashbang by that. But I will be talking about various different aspects in terms of characters, how they work, powering up, and all of that. So first of all, let's start with the character elements. So here's a basic understanding of how the elements work. There are a total of 5 different elements in the game. There is fire, wind, and water. Let's call it wind. It could be nature, whatever. And then there's also light and dark. They have weird little names in the game, but I'm just gonna call them in a simplified version. The way these elements work is pretty standard for a lot of gacha games. So fire element is the one that counters wind, wind counters water, and water counters fire. And then for light and dark, essentially these counter each other. So if you're a light unit, you will have element advantage over a dark unit, and vice versa. For these ones, you will have based on the representing element. And in terms of interactions between regular elements and light and dark elements, they will essentially have a neutral state, the same as if you were attacking a fire unit with another fire unit. No other bonuses applied, no other disadvantages apply, just a regular attack, right? Now for reference, light and dark units are gonna be a bit more rare in terms of gacha rates. However, because their pities are the same as regular units, I will go a bit more in detail on this in the gacha section, but yeah, trust me, compared to other games, you will still be able to acquire a lot of light and dark units relatively easy, right? Okay, now let's talk a bit about powering various units up. So essentially, to raise their level, their current level is maximum level 80. And when you summon, you will get it at level 1. In order to increase this level, you will need 3 types of currency. So first of all, you will need the regular coins. You will be able to get these from pretty much every piece of content there is, so don't worry too much about acquiring those. They are relatively useful in a lot of content as well, so you will find yourself lacking them sometimes, especially in the beginning, but as you progress, it will be a little bit better. So you will need coins. You will also need these colorful little gems, which you can get from any stamina dungeon, and then you will need a mob material based on the unit, right? Unfortunately, I cannot show it in game because all of my units are already fully maxed out at level 80. But these are the 3 materials you'll need. At first, you will need the lowest white tier. Then for higher levels, you will need a higher green tier. And then for the last few levels, you will need the highest purple tier materials. All of the materials from mobs you can actually just get from hunting in the world, so it will not be a problem acquiring those. The more difficult process will be acquiring these gems, which can only be acquired from stamina dungeons, as well as coins, which can drop in the world from the same monsters you kill. However, they will drop in very small amounts, and eventually you will need to do stamina dungeons to get more of these coins. Now, when it comes to skills, every single unit in the game has 5 different skills, right? So first of all, I apologize for this being Korean, right? This is the only language that is currently available, but hopefully when the English comes out, you are able to follow it along a bit better. But essentially, the first skill of every unit is gonna be their basic attack. In a lot of cases, it's just gonna be a regular hit without any effects. So majority of them scale with attacks, some of them scale with stuff like HP. But yeah, usually basic attack doesn't do much. Then there's 3 different skills. So there's active skill 1, active skill 2, and active skill 3, which is considered an ultimate skill. And all of them have their respective mana cost. So skill 1 will always cost 1 mana, skill 2 will always cost 2 mana, and skill 3 will always cost 3 mana, plus it will also have a cooldown attached to it. So this cooldown will differ. For this unit, you can see the cooldown is 3 turns. For this one, it's 3 turns. For this one, 3 turns. They can get lower based on the upgrade. Wow, how am I lucky enough to always get 3 turns? I promise there's some... Yeah, there we go. 4 turns. There's definitely cooldowns that vary a bit, but you can usually decrease them by powering the skills up. And then the last skill is the passive. Every single unit has a various passive. In a lot of cases, passives are not going to be too OP. However, for some units, for example, like Diana, her passive is absolutely game-changing. So, yeah, which passive and which skill you need to level up really depends on the character. Some units see most their use from their ultimate, such as Diana, such as Sion, right? For other units, a lot of them see more use from skills like their first skill, like their passive, right? Not necessarily the third skill. So again, which skill you power up really depends on the unit, because a lot of them have a lot of different uses. For example, for Beatrice, her first skill is amazing, her ultimate is amazing, her second skill is really useless, right? So whether you want to power that up or not really depends on how many dupes you have, right? And next up, we go to the gear crafting menu. I'll actually showcase someone who does have gear. And the way gear works is essentially there is 6 slots for gear to acquire, right? There are different types of gear, and they do give different types of bonuses. For example, this is a 2 set, and if you do get 2 pieces of the same set, it would give 15% HP to this unit. I also have a speed set, which once you have 4 different pieces of equipment, you can see it also gives 22 speed to the unit. All of the calculations are done based on the base stats that you see right here, and all the added stats are added on top of that, right? In terms of gear, there is, I believe, 8 different sets, if I'm not wrong. So there's basically, essentially there's a set for almost every stat. So there's a set for attack, defense, HP, speed, critical damage. I believe there's critical rate as well, accuracy, and resistance, right? Every single base stat has their respective sets. Some of them are 4 sets. Some of them combine from 2 sets, right? And when it comes to stats, the way gear works is essentially there's different tiers of gear. So as you can see, there is the red tier, which is currently the highest. There's then a yellow tier. I believe below that is purple, blue, and green, right? So the difference between these sets is not only the amount of substats you have. As you can see, a yellow piece of gear at level 0 has 3 substats already, whereas the red one has 4, and it works the same way going down. So essentially, purple one will have 2, blue one will have 1, and I believe green one will not have any substats at all. But every 3 levels that you power up, you will get an additional substat, and as you can see, at plus 12, essentially you get 4 upgrades to a various substat, right? The upgrades are completely random. And for the flat stats, there are 3 pieces of gear which can have various different stats, and then there's 3 pieces of gear which have flat stats. So this gear will always have flat attack, this gear will always have flat HP, boots will always have flat defense. For this slot, you can have one of the 3 base stats, either HP percentage, defense percentage, or attack percentage. That can be applied to all 3 of these. And for this specific set, you can also have critical rate, critical damage. For this one, you can have speed, and for this one, you can also have accuracy and resistance, right? And all of the gear you can acquire either from one of the stamina dungeon bosses or a regular dungeon where you can get, it's a bit hard to explain. So essentially you can get maximum yellow tier gear from this stamina dungeon, but the majority of the gear you get will be from this one, because this will be a higher rarity drop dungeon, right? And next up, we'll discuss Remementos, right? So this is essentially a secondary thing that you have to gacha for. The first is the character itself, but Rememento is essentially like a weapon, I guess. I don't know what other games, right? The only more popular one I've played is Wuthering Waves, so when comparing to that, it's essentially like a weapon banner. And the way it works is each unit has a signature Rememento to them. So for example, for Diana, I believe I have a Diana. No, actually, no, I might not. Let me search for one that I do have. For example, her. I know that her Rememento is this one. As you can see, usually they'll have the image attached that looks similar to that character, right? The one thing I want to know about the mementos, right, is that the signature memento is not always the best. For example, for her, this memento, it's essentially a signature memento. Usually signature mementos will boost the correct stats that you need, right? But they will not always be the best. For example, for her, I have this memento, which based on the way I play with this unit is much better than their signature memento. So you have to really play around how you use it. The way you can share the mementos is it doesn't have to be on just the signature unit. As long as the mementos type matches the character type, you are able to share them between units. So for example, for this unit, as you can see, their type is support, right? And as long as the memento also has a support type, which you can see, for example, here, I will be able to equip that memento on this unit, right? So for types, there are currently 5 types, I believe. There is the support, attacker. This one is sort of like a debuffer, if you call it. Essentially, it does damage over time, various debuffs that will disable the enemy from moving or from doing a lot of damage. There's the defenders, and then there's the healers, right? And when it comes to the mementos, they have 3 main flat stats. These differ based on type and based on unit. So usually if a unit is more defense type, the highest stat will usually be the defense. If the unit is more attacking type, for example, if we look into an attacking memento, you can see the attack will be boosted a bit more. Really just depends on the memento. But yeah, the main thing you need to know about the mementos is you get them from GACHA, and you can also get a few from the premium pass, essentially, right, from premium cast currency. They have a type which you must match. They have 3 base stats, and they have a little bit of a passive that different from unit to unit. So for example, for some units, a passive might not fit at all, even though they're the same type. And for some units, their passive might be amazing and enhance their abilities a lot, right? And next up, we have the skill ups. So when it comes to skill ups, there's 2 different types. So essentially, the 5 ones you see right here, so usually the 4 ones are closely around the middle, and as well as the middle one are the dupe skill ups. You can only skill these up by either summoning a dupe, buying it from the shop, or by having this a universal item, which I'm not even sure if a lot of global players will have these. This was more of a compensation from the Korean server. And what these do is essentially, if you look, I know with Korean it's a bit hard to read, but what you can focus on this number right here, it essentially shows which skill it is. So as you can see, each dupe is able to level up 1 skill for that character. So for example, if I did this one, the first skill would receive an improvement. So in this case, the improvement is only in terms of damage, so the multiplier would jump from 153% to 199%. And yeah, it depends on the character. Again, some of them only improve multipliers, some of them improve the amount of turns on a debuff or a buff, for example, the amount of cooldown you can get. For example, let me find an ultimate, yeah, like this. You can see this one only changes the scaling, but if I look for an ultimate, maybe, let me quickly try to find it. Okay, this is a good example. So for Ferance's ultimate, for example, I have already leveled this up, but for her ultimate, what changes is not only the amount of mana you get from the skill, but the cooldown also jumps a bit lower. I believe when unskilled, her cooldown is either 7 or 8 turns, and when skilled up, it's at 6 turns, right? So not only can it change the multipliers, it can also change the amount of stats, the amount of debuffs, and the cooldown of the skill itself. Now for the other skill ups, these can be acquired without any dupes, right? For these ones, you only need to farm some materials. Level 1 and 2 will usually be quite easy to get. Level 3 is the more expensive one, so if you're really like super free-to-play player, I wouldn't recommend focusing on level 3 upgrades because trust me, those are very expensive. Try to get your main units to at least level 2 and you will be more than fine. The difference in stats is not that massive, but as you can see, essentially these ones there will be 8 different choices and they will buff each respective stat. So for example, if we look at a level 3 buff, essentially this will give 7% attack. There's 2 of these. It will give 8.8% crit damage. It will give a 5.3% critical rate, and it will give, at level 2, at least 7% defense. So even at level 2, trust me, it's more than enough. I can just power up just to show you the difference. So level 2, it is 7%. If I power it up... Oh no, actually, I think level 2 is 5%, and it shows the upgrade at 7%. So... the difference, again, as you can see, it's quite expensive, and the difference is 2% defense. 2% of that base 273 defense is essentially like, what, 5 defense? The difference is really minimal. Usually you want to max out the skills that are fitting that type. So for example, for attacker, you do want to max out the ones that usually boost the attack. For defenders, for example, you usually want to max out the ones that benefit the defense the most. I'm trying to max out all of them, but that's only because I've been playing this game for already like half a year, and I'm really just running out of things to power up in terms of upgrading, right? But yeah, that's just how the skills work. And by the way, I forgot to mention one thing. Once you upgrade all of the 4 skills on a character, you also get the option to upgrade the middle skill, which does not upgrade any of your skills, but it will give you a little bit of a stat boost that you can get by sacrificing another dupe on top of that. And lastly, every character in the game will have a friendship system. The maximum level of the friendship system is level 40. However, after level 20, it does get a little bit expensive to upgrade. So usually I would only recommend upgrading for the units that you really use, right? And the way our friendship system works is essentially you just feed them food, right? Very standard, very real life like. And what happens when you upgrade them is for each level that you upgrade, you will be getting a little bit of bonus stats. So one level is worth 10 HP, 1 attack, and 1 defense. So for example, for Beatrice right here, she's currently at level 32. I believe I don't have any way to show you apart from maybe upgrading her level. So actually, let me do that. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna feed her a little bit of food. You can see that the level up will jump from 32 to 33. And you will get some additional stats. So 33 attack, 33 defense, and 330 HP. At maximum level, it will essentially be around 40. I believe it will be around 40. I haven't never tried to go up to maximum level, but I doubt the jump in difference will be very high, right? But yeah, essentially there's just a little bit of extra stats that you can get, and every 10 levels you will also unlock an additional quest with them, which will give you a little bit of coins and premium currency. Okay, and that's it for the characters. Now let's talk about the gacha, right? So when it comes to gacha, I'm not sure whether you will see more different additional banners. From what I have, I will mostly explain the main concept, and that is the premium banners as well as the regular banners, right? So the gacha itself has 2 different types of currency, right? So it has the premium limited banner summons as well as the regular summons, right? With the premium summons, you are essentially able to get a featured banner that's currently available. Usually all banners last for 3 weeks when the unit comes out. So as you can see, this one, it has around 4 days left. By the time this timer runs out, the global version should be released, right? With a new respective unit called Ivy. And yeah, essentially you are able to summon either for a unit or you are able to summon for the Rememento. The odds are completely the same. The odds of getting a 5-star item or unit is 2%, which means that 1% will be for the premium banner unit, right? 0.75% will be for the all other units that were released prior to that, and 0.25% will be for all prior released light and dark units, right? And for the Rememento type, you can see it's the same. Light and dark Remementos, regular previously released Remementos, including the MC, which unfortunately you cannot summon the MC itself, but you can summon the Rememento, and the premium banner Rememento at 1%. The rest, as you can see, 1.5% for units, 1.5% for the mementos. Essentially for 4 stars, you can get both units and the mementos regardless of which banner you use. The odds are completely the same, right? The only difference is the premium units that are boosted in terms of 4 stars. So 3 stars will have these 3 different units boosted, and for the memento type, as you can see, it will be the mementos that are boosted. So the way premium banners work is like that. When it comes to pity, it does not have a regular pity that you are used to most games. It does have the so-called spark system where regardless whether you summon the premium banner or not, every one summon will give you one of these tokens, and at 120 tokens, you are able to just trade up, either buy the unit. As you can see, because I have the unit, I'm only able to buy their dues by now. But if you don't have the unit, you can just trade up buy the unit for 120, or just trade up buy the memento for 120. In my opinion, for what I've used, it's a pretty good gacha system in terms of the amount of tickets you get. I currently have every single unit in the game, including light and darks. I'm not free to play, right? I have spent like $100, maybe $150 by now in the period of almost half a year. So in my opinion, in that terms of rates, right, and in this type of pity, it's pretty good. I do have every single unit. I do not have every single memento, but I do have like a good 70% of them. And then for the regular banners, essentially they work the same way, right? The rates are, of course, they do not have a specific premium units, so all of the remaining 1% that you would get from there is merged into the regular odds. So the regular element units have 1.75%. These will feature every single unit that has been released until then, right? And for the memento part, you can see it's the same, light and darks at 0.25 and 1.75 for all of the irregular mementos, right? The spark system works the same way. 1 summon equals 1 spark. However, with this one, you are gonna have to pay 200, which is a bit more. However, you are able to buy every single previously released memento, regardless whether it's regular element or light and dark. For example, you can see that this is a dark unit and you are able to buy it for just the same cost. So you can buy all of their mementos, or you can buy the units themselves. It does show only dupes for now, but that's purely because I have all of the units unlocked. Yes, you can get a unit itself. It's gonna be the same cost. As you can see, light units, dark units, all of them are available for the same cost, right? So there's that. And also this is a bit of a newer feature, and for the regular banners, both the premium, not the premium, but both the character and the memento, you are able to do a daily summon once per day for 50% discounted price. So instead of the regular 160 cost, you are able to do it for 80. I've done some calculations. In my opinion, it is worth it because it makes the pity a little bit cheaper in the end. But yeah, there's that. And of course, there is also a shop for the summons. Let me quickly try to find it. There it is. Essentially, you will be getting these premium currencies once you summon some units. So if you summon a 4-star, you will be getting these. And if you summon a 5-star, you will be getting some of these. And for these, you are also able to buy dupes. Now, unfortunately, with these, you are not able to buy the unit itself if you don't own it. So, for example, if you don't own this unit, I'm not able to buy it here. I can only buy dupes. So you can either buy a dupe for each specific character, or you can buy a universal dupe which will work on any character. The cost is completely the same. For 4 stars, the cool thing is you can buy a unit. So for example, I didn't manage to summon this 4-star here, so I was able to buy it. To buy a unit, it does cost a double of the regular price. So instead of a dupe costing 50, the unit itself will cost 100, and then all of the following dupes will cost 50. But eventually you will have enough of these 4 stars where you are able to just flat out max a new 4-star unit right off the bat. Okay, now let's talk a bit about dailies, right? So when it comes to dailies, there's really not a lot you have to do, and you will be in most cases able to do them in like good 10 minutes in my opinion, right? So for the dailies, the main thing you want to do is complete all 100 points for this. As you can see, each of them have different rewards, and in the end you're essentially able to get a good amount of coins plus 100 of this currency. It is a little bit difficult translating these, but as long as you just regularly play, you will be able to do most of them. So you do these quests, right? They have quests such as logging in, using 240 stamina, fighting in the arena. Basically, as you do the regular stuff, you will be able to complete the dailies alongside it. There's also this menu, which essentially just gives you, it's sort of like expedition where you can get some rewards. So in this one, first of all, you get 1 free daily claim here. So you can get materials of your choice. You can either get coins, XP books, or XP potions. So for XP books, these level up your character. XP potions will level up your mementos. Pro tip from my side, go for all coins, because coins will be the currency that you lack of the most in terms of all 3 of these. So yeah, you can get free ones which will equal to the maximum amount that you can get of 5,000. So 1 is free, and then you can purchase some additional ones with premium currency, and then with this button you'll also claim the ones that have generated until then. For this one, you can also set up various materials that you want to receive daily. I just keep it at these. Majority of these items are gonna be items used to power up your units, right? So you can get all of these units just by hunting in the world. So which ones you decide really doesn't matter. It's just a small part that will help save a little bit of time for you. And the same thing for regular materials which you use for like crafting, cooking, all of that. These ones, honestly, I haven't changed in like months, so I don't really care about these. The main thing you should focus on is this one, but as you do these, you will also be completing. As you can see, I've already done all of the quests for my dailies. So essentially for dailies, you want to collect 100 points here. You want to make sure that you collect at least this one here. And for your dailies, you also should be spending your stamina. One of the dungeons will always have double drops boosted for the first 120 stamina, so you usually want to use those, but I will talk about more of them in my tips and tricks video that will come out in a few days. Alright, but there's various different stamina dungeons that you can do, so make sure to use your stamina. And lastly, you want to make sure to battle in the arena at least 5 times, because in the arena you actually get pretty decent rewards. They reset weekly, right? And you can get 2 premium summons, 2 regular summons, 5 energy bubbles, which will equal to around 500 stamina. So that's like 2 days worth just from battling in the arena, and 50k coins. Then there's also the unlimited purchases, which are essentially gear upgrading materials, potions, or XP books, right? So more on these a bit later. But essentially, as you can see, every day you can battle in the arena as much as you want, right? There's literally no sort of ticket system which prevents you from fighting. You can fight as much as you want. The only condition is you cannot fight the same player twice per day, right? And yeah, you can either fight in PvP against other players, or you can fight in PvE against NPC controlled accounts. This is usually the option I use until a few days of the season ending, since it just gets rid of the arena requirements a little bit easier, right? It's much easier to nuke them, to one-shot them on auto, instead of trying to play around the regular players, right? And as you can see in the arena, if you win, you get 2 of these coins, and if you lose, you get 1 of these coins. And essentially you want to collect 10 every day, And every 15 battles, you will also get a weekly reward. At the moment, it is set to 200 premium currency, but this will change in the 1.4 update to a much better one, giving you 10 materials for dupes, which will essentially like be building up towards allowing you to purchase a dupe for free, right? Okay, and now I'm gonna move on to the segment where I talk a bit about various types of content, right? So first of all, I'm gonna start out with Trial of Ascension. This is basically like Tower, Abyss Tower, Trial of Ascension for my Summoners War players, whatever the name is, right? And in this one, essentially there are two different difficulties. So there are 30 levels in the regular difficulty, and then there are 10 levels in the hard mode difficulty, right? The way this works is in TOA you have you are able to essentially preview the monsters and their skills that you will be fighting, and each level will have a various different condition. I'm not gonna be able to just translate them right now, but once you're playing in your language, you will be able to easily translate it. Some of them have various different effects attached, so let me see if I can remember any of these, at least from the hard mode. I believe for this one, there was... no, wait, for this one, there was some sort of condition where the enemy gets like 50% more attack, like 10% per turn that they don't take. These usually change every rotation, right? So you will be able to adjust based on the rotation when it resets. It resets with every minor patch, which means every 21 days. And essentially, in this content, you are able to get rewards that you can see at the bottom right here. So these will fluctuate, and every 5 levels you will get a boosted reward. And on top of that, you are able to get a lot of premium currency by getting additional stars. And the way you get additional stars is based on the conditions you see right here. So the first condition is not losing any of your units. Essentially, all of your units have to be alive. Second one you get by winning within 50 moves, and the second one you get by winning within 30 moves. These conditions will change. For hard, it's of course a little bit easier, right? In terms of condition at least, so not losing any units, completing within 120, and completing within 80. It might look easy on paper, but trust me, this is very, very difficult, right? And next up, another mode that is similar to TRA is the Abyss. So this one is more of a like rogue-like dungeon, and the way this works is you choose 4 different units that you want to use in your dungeon, right? So let's just choose whatever I know currently has equipment, right? Let's say something like that. This is by no means like a good team. I'm just choosing something that I know has equipment. And in this one, you will be able to fight for 30 levels total, and you will be able to get 2 different types of materials. So this one is used for crafting equipment, and this one is used for making a bit more difficult modifications to equipment, such as like re-rolling the stats, making sure that you are able to pick a main stat, right? All of that. The way this mode works is essentially, in order to get maximum rewards, you have to beat all 30 levels, and every level you will receive a choice of 3 different buffs, right? There are a lot of buffs. After this level, I will showcase you the amount of buffs there are in this game. Trust me, you have endless possibilities in this one. Honestly, when it comes to having fun, right, this is one of the modes that are the most fun modes that have came out recently in this game. And yeah, it's definitely not too difficult compared to other modes, but it is super fun. And yeah, as you move forward, you can see I completed level 2 or level 1. Currently I'm at level 2. The thing is, once you lock in your team, you are not able to change your team. As you can see, if I try to change, it will simply not let me. So the team that you start with will have to complete all 30 levels with. If you die at any point throughout the game, not like one unit, but all of your units die and you fail the level, you will actually get reset to level 1, and you will have to pick a team and try again from scratch. So yeah, be careful in that regard. I believe if you just quit the battle before all of your units die, you will be able to try that level with the same team. But yeah, really think about the choices you make when going into this mode. And yeah, as you can see here, you can see all of the buffs that I have, and this will show all of the buffs that are available. And as you can see, Once you have the translation, it will be easier, of course. I do know what a good chunk of these do by memory by now, right? But yeah, you can see that there's a lot of buffs that work universally, and then there's some buffs that work on a specific element only. For example, this one only gives attack to water units, this one only gives HP to fire units, all of that. Usually you avoid picking these, you want to go for the more universal ones, right? And all of them have 5 levels, so as you can see, the difference in stats can be quite high. At level 5, 120 attack, whereas at level 1, only 20 attack, right? Oh, and almost forgot to mention that this mode resets every week. So essentially, at the moment, the reset of all weekly game modes is on Wednesday night. So essentially, on the night between Tuesday and Wednesday is when these usually reset, right? But when the global server comes out, it might change based on that. Okay, now I'm gonna expand a bit more on Arena as well, right? Previously you've seen a battle, so I'm not gonna battle anymore. I'm just gonna showcase mostly how it works and what is really needed to be mentioned. So I already told you about the rewards. Essentially, in Arena you have to make sure to battle daily at least 5 times, a maximum of 10 times if you decide to lose all of them, right? But yeah, just make sure that you get the 10 daily tokens every day, and make sure that you are able to participate in 15 fights per week. You can just breeze through all of these in a single day. I just don't bother and leave it for the daily to complete it, right? You will complete that in 3 days essentially. But yeah, make sure that you are able to get these. The way Arena works, right, is essentially you have PvP battles and you have PvE battles against NPCs. These ones are usually if you don't want to risk your ranking in the regular PvP battles, but just want to get the dailies done, you can do that, right? These are much easier. When it comes to PvP, as you can see, you have your ranking right here, your rank, as well as the rating in terms of the server. So I currently have 1739 ranking, and I'm currently ranked 307 in the server. You can see all of the rankings right here. I think it shows like the first couple of hundreds. So yeah, the rankings themselves are listed here. So there's bronze, silver, gold, diamond, whatever this is, and basically grandmaster, right? You can see they all come attached with different awards. So at the highest tier you can get 1000 premium currency, and you can get 2 different mounts. Now I have managed to get into the top 100 for the last 2 seasons, so you can get as you can see, you get some premium mounts right here. These are tiny bit faster than the regular mounts that you will have, so if you are able to get into Challenger at least once, I do recommend doing it, because you will be able to travel around the world slightly faster, right? But yeah, this is the way it works. Honestly, for the effort you put into Arena, the premium currency is really a tough sell, but if you do enjoy PvP, you should usually be able to get all of that. And the way you attack is essentially you set up your team right here. There are a bunch of presets that you can use. But yeah, you set up your team right here. Here you can set up your defense team, which I haven't changed in like 3 weeks. I don't even know if all of them have runes or equipment, I mean. But yeah, I usually only push for like the last 2-3 days, so I don't really care what happens with my rating at the moment. And yeah, one more thing I want to mention with Arena is there is a little bit of a difference when you hit 2000 rating, right? So I'm a bit lower at the moment, so you don't see it, but let me see if I can maybe, no, I cannot see it here, but I can show you from the rating. Once you hit 2000 rating, all of the enemies that are above 2000 will only show 2 units, right? So the way it works is essentially when setting up the defense, if you are someone who is over 2000 rating, you are able to set up the first 2 units, right? So if I set it something like this, right? These are the units that will be shown on my defense, and then there will be 2 mystery units that will not be shown on my defense. So you have to also play around with that, and the same works for the opponents. Essentially, this is what I would see if I had them in my list of who I can attack. So I can see that they do have Diana, they do have Priscilla, but I don't know what the other 2 units are. So in this aspect, trust me, previously it was very easy to attack when you can see all of the units, because you can really just make a perfect counter pick and easily win against them, even if they outspeed you. But with this, you never know what you're fully attacking, so you can only strategize based on the first two picks. And trust me, this makes Arena way more fun and way more exciting to do. Yes, you will be losing a lot more, but it's also just adds a little bit of strategy into the game, right? And while we're on the topic of Arena, I'm gonna quickly showcase how the whole fighting system works, basically how the mana works, how all of that works. So essentially, as you can see, if I choose a unit to attack right now, I will be attacking them with a basic attack. If I use up my mana button once, I will be using my first skill of that unit. If I choose twice, I will be using the second skill, which is essentially like a buff to one of my units. And if I use it 3 times, I will be using the ultimate of that unit, right? So this is how it works. On the left side, you are always able to see the turn order of all of your units. However, especially this applies to PvP, some units have attack bar manipulation skills, which, for example, you could see this. But as soon as you move, this unit might jump to the top because they gained more attack gauge from one of their passives or something like that, right? So this mostly applies to PvP, but always be careful to check for how much actual attack bar and what sort of units you are attacking, because you might find yourself where you see that all of your units are moving next, and then an enemy unit might cut in front and will just completely nuke your team, right? So you have to be careful with that. But yeah, as you can see, you have various different abilities that you can use. For example, now I'll use my second skill. With him, I will use my ultimate, and yeah, you can see the total HP bar of the enemy there at all times. And yeah, this is a short battle, but you will mostly have to play around these in PvP and in more difficult PvE dungeons. But that's just the general gist of how the battle system goes. You recover 1 mana every time you get a turn, unless there are, of course, various different passives at work. And you are able to use that mana to either use your first, second, third skills, or you can just use your basic attack, which does not use any mana, and you will be able to easily save up a bit for your next skill. Alright, so let's just quickly end this and let's talk about a different topic. Okay, the next thing I want to discuss a bit is gonna be the main town, right? So as you can see, the open world map it does have a lot of various checkpoints, all of that, right? It does look big, but honestly, the open world itself isn't that massive. For example, like from one corner right here to the other corner right here, I would probably be able to run on my mount in like good 5 minutes, right? So it's definitely not too massive. There's plenty of quick travel points that you can use. So all of these yellow ones, all of these red ones, you can essentially just instantly travel to. So yeah, before doing any main quests, honestly, I would recommend traveling across a lot of these just to unlock them, because trust me, once you're doing all of the quests, it will be much easier. But this is the area where you will be spending most of your time, and this is your main town, right? So in here you will find various different services like shop, blacksmith, cooking table. This is where arena is, various different shops, right? And I'm gonna cover a few most important ones. So first of all, we're gonna start with this, and this will be the item, what do you call it? Item conversion / transmutation system, right? As you can see, for example, this is just the same menu where you can get your various expedition items. Some of them are accessible from menus, right? So this is basically, that is essentially the same as this, right? And this one will be one of the more important ones. So in here you are able to transform your items. So for 3 smaller tier items, you are able to transform them into 1 higher tier item, right? You can do it infinitely. There's no limits on it. The only limit is that they do cost a little bit of coins. And yeah, you can push it all the way to the highest tier. You can also do that backwards. So for example, instead of improving the grade, you can use your green type materials to get back 3 small type materials. Again, the only limit is the coins, right? And on top of that, you are also able to convert them into a different one. So for example, you choose the one that you want. For example, I want more of the green red type stones, and I want to use a different material for that. So for 2 blue materials, I'm able to convert them into 1 red material. Usually, just a spoiler alert, right? Usually you will never use the conversion, right? You will only want to use the upgrade and downgrade options, because honestly, you will need all of these materials. Don't convert them just because you have like 50 of these, because as soon as a blue type unit comes out, you're gonna use up like most of them, right? And you can do this for both the gems. You can do the same thing for the stones, and you can do the same for the hunting material. The only ones I can tell you that you can use is these ones, because all of these materials you are able to get just from hunting various monsters around the world. And if you can see that you have plenty of these, feel free to convert them into the one that you don't have, but eventually you will stock up on a lot of them and will not have any issues with that as well. Now, another really not that important NPC, but I know some people will definitely be tempted by it, is right next to the station there is the scout shop, right? And in this one you are able to get a lot of different items for coins, right? You will see that there's a full list of items that you can get, and honestly it has like everything. It has stamina balls, it has various gems, various items, it can have equipment, it can have like lots of different things, right? Here's the deal though, right? Sometimes you'll see that, for example, you can buy a stamina ball for 50k coins, but as someone who has built every single unit, who is constantly upgrading their gear, right? As you can see, I have plenty of gear upgraded, and then 5 times that wasn't upgraded yet. Trust me, you do not want to be buying from this cash shop. This is like, again, this is just my advice. Feel free to do what you want, right? But the prices you see here in terms of coins are very expensive, and trust me, you will need coins a lot. I can easily burn that 1,000,000 coins just by upgrading some of my friendship levels, by just buying some food, right? And yeah, I mean, as soon as you want to build a unit or upgrade some sort of a unit, you'll see yourself burning through 500,000, maybe up to 1,000,000 coins in just an hour or two, right? So yeah, be careful with using that shop, right? Because the items there are very expensive. Majority of the items in here you can just get from daily stamina dungeons, right? And you really don't want to burn through those too much, right? And one last thing I want to really mention in the town is the blacksmith. So essentially the blacksmith is where you will be using those little red stones that I showed that you can acquire in this dungeon. So the way it works is essentially you are able to choose a set that you want to craft, and each set will cost 50 of these crystals as well as 5,000 coins. Again, like, look at this. That's already 100,000 coins down, right? So trust me, you will burn through a lot of these, and essentially you are able to choose which one you want to craft, right? So you can craft any type. The problem with this is if you're crafting ones that have flexible main stats, you can also choose these, but it will cost one of these, which you can craft with the more premium gems that I mentioned that you get every like 5 levels in that same dungeon. So you can either craft these ones, or you can craft these yellow gems, which essentially allow you to reroll the stats on an item, right? So essentially, let's say you were going for a quadruple substat upgrade on one of the gear, you didn't get any upgrades in that, you can use the stone to reroll the stats back to level 0. It will be the same stats, but it will be rerolled to level 0, and you can upgrade them to plus 12 to see whether you get better substats than the first time around, right? And yeah, so for the gear crafting, 50 for each gear, and if you do choose the main stat that you want to use, it will also cost one of these gems. But yeah, I haven't used the system too much yet. I really have to sort out through all of the equipment, but overall I did craft a few times and I was able to get a decent gear from it, so it's definitely pretty good. Okay, and the last thing I want to talk about is this. So this is essentially the main sort of progress gatekeeping sort of system, and that is your KALEIDO rank, right? So there is currently a total of 10 KALEIDO ranks, and it currently does not show anything here, but that's purely because it's currently maxed out on my side. You will start at, I believe, level 1, but it could also be level 0, I'm not too sure. You will see various different quests that are needed to be completed in order to power up. Majority of them are tied to levels, right? So for example, like upgrading 4 units to like level 50 or something like that. And then, for example, upgrading your character level to like level 5, level 10, something like that. Currently, it's maximum at level 60, right? But I think the KALEIDO rank maxes out at either 45 or 50. Again, like I've maxed it out months ago. I'm not too sure exactly. But one thing to note about this, right, is as you improve your KALEIDO rank, what you will be doing is, first of all, you will be unlocking additional dungeons. So for example, in the stamina dungeon, if we go to any of the dungeons, all stamina dungeons have 10 levels, right? So at KALEIDO rank level 1, only the level 1 will be unlocked for you. Once you reach KALEIDO rank level 2, the level 2 dungeon will be unlocked. And naturally, if you look at the rewards that you can get, these will be improving. So you will be getting more coins, you will be getting better types of gear, you will be getting higher tier stones, right? And at level 10, these are maxed out, and you can only unlock level 10 once you reach KALEIDO rank level 10. So I know it can be tempting to max it out as soon as possible, but one thing I have to warn you about, right? As you max out your KALEIDO rank, not only will you be unlocking different dungeons, but also the rest of the game will be getting more difficult. So as you start the game, as you can see for me, the regular enemies in the world are currently level 69. Amazing number, by the way. But yeah, level 69. When you start the game, I believe these will be like level 3 or level 6, something like that. You will notice that you are able to very, very easily beat them with like level 1 units, right? But as you upgrade your KALEIDO rank, the difficulty will keep jumping up. I think it will increase to like 6, then like 11, 17, 27, all the way up to level 69. And trust me, at level 69, if you just decide to use like level 20 units with no gear, nothing like that, you will get deleted instantly, right? So not only does it increase the difficulty of these regular roaming units, right, but it also increases the difficulty of like the main story, all of that, all of the main story bosses. And there was a situation where I think I had like my units were like very, very low level, like level 20, level 30. But I upgraded my KALEIDO rank a bit too far. I think I was around like the limit of KALEIDO rank 2 or 3, but I upgraded to around 5 or 6, something like that, right? And I wasn't ready at all for it. And I just couldn't beat the main story boss for like a week. Like straight up, the difficulty was so high that I just couldn't beat the story. So before you upgrade your KALEIDO rank, I would highly recommend you to either pass majority of the story, right? Because later on you might just be gate-kept by the difficulty of it, or prepare to basically wait a lot in order to complete it, because trust me, like once you upgrade it far enough and if your units are not matching the strength, you will have a very hard time. Of course, by now, once you have level 80 units, once you have maxed out gear, these little minions are essentially one-shot. But until then, trust me, it can be a little bit difficult. So be very, very careful when upgrading your KALEIDO rank, and make sure that you are able to at least like one-shot these units by the time you upgrade by 1 additional level, right? And yeah, that's pretty much the beginner guide, sort of like how to get started with this game. I hope I explained a majority of the concepts in this game. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will be monitoring them relatively often throughout the weekend, right? And I'll try to answer any questions that you have alongside it, right? And yeah, I will be making some tier lists. I will be making a lot of different content for this game. I already have a lot of this planned out, and with enough understanding, I hope, right? I will be able to provide you a lot of guidance with this game even before it is launched. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you do want to keep up on various news with this game or further content, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, that's about it. And peace.